Hi everyone, my name is Dee Roussel, also known as Deja, and today we're going to talk about the books that I've recently read. I have had a very slow start to my reading year. I've only read 4 books and I've DNF'd 2, and one of those I'm thinking of picking back up anyway at a later date. But yeah, it's been a very slow reading year so far. I also don't think that this year started off really good for me. Like, I had okay reads, which I'll talk about. But overall, I think that I've only had kind of middle of the road reading experiences, and that's definitely not how I wanted to start the year. But I am still in this period of my life that I'm trying to figure out exactly like what I really enjoy in books. Plus, that has changed from like the last few years. So, of course, there's going to be some duds in there. Out of the 4 books that I have read and completed, I'm only going to talk about 2 of them because one of the books was by a non-Black author. And since I'm only doing my all-Black authors year, I figured that I wouldn't talk about that one. I had to read that one for work, so I'm just not gonna talk about it. And then the second book that I actually finished was for a reading vlog that I'm doing, which you should see hopefully in the next few weeks. But out of the 2 books that I have read, the first one that I read was Maybe Next Time, and this one I think was purely just not for me. Maybe Next Time follows this marriage in trouble. I don't remember the characters' names, but basically it's these 2 people who were married and are still married, but the female main character basically wants to file for divorce, and the guy is like fighting her like because he wants to stay married to her. But basically, since she won't talk to him, he kidnaps her and takes her to this remote island where she doesn't have contact with anybody so they can work out their issues. That premise alone I thought would be very interesting, but I think where I had problems with this one is that I didn't really like the female main character. I feel like she was just very combative and defensive when it came to like talking, but when it came to like her being intimate with him, like she was just very willing. And I guess if you like that, that's fine. Like, I just thought that after a point, like she was just starting to get a little annoying for me. I don't really have any strong feelings towards the male main character. I feel like he was also very combative and strong with his opinions, but maybe combative isn't like the right word. Maybe they were just like both headstrong people. But I think like that dynamic kind of lost like the romance for me. Like, it's supposed to be like this second chance at their romance, or this like keeping their marriage from falling apart, which I think that they did, because the core issue was like them not talking. And I feel like the whole issue that they had was just like the whole miscommunication thing. But I don't know, I don't think I got over like the hump of like this whole thing happening because they just wouldn't communicate with each other. And I get that because of the situation that happened, like it was just very tough. And so I'm not like faulting the book for that. I just think that this trope and these characters just didn't work together for me. And so I think that if you do like that, you probably would like this book. If you do decide to pick this up, I would look up content warnings and trigger warnings, because there is like something heavy that happens in this book, and it's like the main issue between them. So I would definitely look that up before you pick this up. But overall, I rated the story 3 stars, and I think that if you want a steamy novella that's quick to read and you have these very headstrong people, I think you will really enjoy this book. The next book that I recently read was Black Girls Must Die Exhausted, and this one was actually a very disappointing read. I actually listened to this on audiobook, so I kind of want to say that maybe it's the audiobook's fault, but I really don't think like my problems with it were because of how I read it. I think it was just like the content issue. And honestly, I feel like it was just like the way that the story was told. You're following this Black woman, and she basically is just having all of these things like happening to her. But I think my main issue with this story was exactly like her living her life. I knew from the title that there was going to be like some exhaustion aspect of it, like maybe just like the physical weight of being a Black woman would like have on this character. But what I wasn't really expecting was like almost everything was just in this character. Honestly, I think that if you just look up like essays about the like the plight of Black women in the last few years, I feel like you'd basically get this book. Like, it felt like a essay a little bit, not even like an academic essay. Like, it just felt like this narrative was just like everything that could go wrong in this woman's life was basically like her life. And it was like she was trying to be like really relatable to like multiple aspects of Black womanhood, but like there was also other aspects of Black womanhood that I feel like she didn't really cover. Like it was all about just like this negativity. And granted, there was like female friendship that was in this, which I thought was good, but even then it just felt like the lives of those women were also just kind of picking off of like this girl being exhausted from being a biracial Black woman in America. It's hard for me to explain like what exactly is my issue with this book until like I go into like spoilers. So if you don't really want spoilers, I will put like a timestamp somewhere, but yeah, I will go into spoilers now. The main issue that I had with this is that it paints Black womanhood like negatively. Like this character who I don't remember the name of her character either, but basically like her character has like this amazing job, like she loves her job and she's just like so career driven, but then she also wants to have a family, and that's not working out for her because all the guys that she's dated have not been like ready to settle down. And so that was like one of the issues that she has of like not getting like a committed guy to like settle down with her. And then like literally in the first chapter there was like this section where she got pulled over by the police, and it was just like kind of cringy to read. Like I understand that this stuff happens, like, and like I feel like we all know at this point that this stuff happens, but like where I was just having an issue with this, I was just like, all these consecutive things like happening, like I don't think nobody in this book had a happy ending, like at least not what I would consider a happy ending. Like the person that she was closest to ended up passing away, and then her own mother, who was a Black woman, ended up being cheated on by her father, who married a white woman, which is like a whole other thing. And then like her friend is a mistress, her other friend, her husband was cheating on her as well. And I'm just like, what? Like this, like the only thing that this book really had going for it was like maybe the female friendship, but then even then like they kind of have like a friendship breakup, and I don't know, I just feel like there was like way too much stuff happening to her that I don't think that any like normal Black woman would think about like on a daily basis. Like there just didn't seem to be like any joy in her life. Like she was always consistently thinking about all these negative things about being a Black woman. And even at the end of the novel, when she says that she would never want to trade being Black to like be another race, like I feel like she didn't really change much into like, yeah, it's so dope to be Black, like yeah, it's so dope to be a Black woman. I feel like what I wanted this book to be was like, yes, acknowledge the pain and like all the things that are happening to Black women, but I didn't expect it to be like a Black millennial woman basically showing all these plights in like one book, but for one character. And even then, like this book was very info dumpy, especially in the beginning. I was just like, why do we need to know all of this information? There was just like so many sections that it was just like running on and on and on with like background information, and I was just like, why do we need to know this? What does this contribute to her character? But then it would tell you what it contributed to her character and like where she is right now. But I feel like we didn't really like get past the point of like now she's in adulthood and now where is she going from here? I'm definitely not continuing on with that series. Like I'm just not interested, and that's really disappointing for me, especially because like I really loved Queenie. She was a hot mess, but I definitely feel that she grew a little bit more and that she was definitely a stronger character. And I also think that Queenie was not so heavy-handed with like, oh, woe is me for being a Black woman. Like I feel like you still saw like the beauty and Blackness in that book. But this is my first time doing an on-camera review of any books, so I probably rambled a lot, but I definitely hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any thoughts on any of the books that I have mentioned, on whether or not you're gonna read them, or if you just don't have any interest in reading them now, I would definitely love to hear that. But I thank you for watching so much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!